Happy Wednesday, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live right here on Giants.com and the Giants mobile app. Good to be with Howard Cross. I had a little switcheroo with Paulie Dot, so have a chance to host with Howard this week. We're going to be together next week as well, because I'm switching with Madeline. So we get 2 straight weeks.
Right, 2 straight weeks.
Schmelk and Cross, which I'm very excited about. Always fun to talk some football with Howard. We're going to try to take a lot of your calls today. We've had a lot of time since the Niner game. There's still a lot of time before the Seahawk game, so we're kind of in this weird, middling period here.
It's called a middling period?
That's what I'm calling it.
Okay, all right.
And there's not a whole lot going on, so we're going to take a lot of your calls at 201-939-4513 very early in the show, 201-939-4513. Also, you guys doing a great job. I got a bunch of emails here at our new email address for the show, bigbluekickoff@gmail.com, bigbluekickoff@gmail.com. So get those in. I got a bunch of them, and I will get those up for you as we move along here. Howard, before we get to the calls, you got something for me?
I was about to say I had a tough football weekend, man. I'm just telling you. It was tough.
Dude, 10 men on the field for 2 straight plays? Really?
I got nothing.
My understanding was that Notre Dame was a very imprpressive academic university. I figured counting to 11
I got nothing.
would have been part of that.
I got nothing. I'm like, wow. So is Howard playing defensive end?
Well, technically he was on that play. There was just nobody in the spot to be outside of him.
I'm like.
And then your Alabama, Howard, I'm amazed that a program like that, especially with what they've done over the past 10 years, how do you guys not have a quarterback in queue ready to go?
I'm just going to say this. Don't be surprised if Alabama's playing Georgia in the SEC championship game and somehow, some way works their way into the playoffs. You don't want to see that defense. It's getting better every game.
They're very talented, Howard, but you need a quarterback, dude.
I'm just saying. And if Ohio State gets in, you saw what they are with Notre Dame.
You run all over them.
It's going to be ugly. Okay, so let's go back to...
Okay, we're back. Howard had to get that off his chest, apparently. 201-939-4513. 201-939-4513. Get on the lines. We'll take a bunch of your calls again right here on Big Blue Kickoff Live. All right, Howard. I'm going to ask you a very broad question.
Broad.
And you can take this however you like.
Uh-oh.
For the Giants to start winning more consistently and turning things around, what's the one unit, person, something that you think needs to get better? Where does it have to start, and where do you think it's most likely to start?
First off, they have to be healthy. That's the one thing that they have to be.
I wrote the same thing on Cover 3 on Monday. Andrew Thomas has got to come back.
Andrew Thomas got to come back. Saquon's got to be healthy. Everybody else play the guard. Brandison's got to be healthy. You got to have everybody has to be available.
Yeah.
If everybody's available, the offensive line can play better. If the offensive line plays just a little better, it's a whole different outlook of the season. Not a lot better, not a ton better, just a little better. Any amount of time that Daniel has, the ball can be pushed down the field. Right now, he's forced to throw checkdowns, passes out to the outside, short throws, throws over the middle, which doesn't look like everybody's willing to take. I just think that he needs to be able to get, let Hyatt, let Slayton, Paris Campbell, let him get more than 4 yards, catch the ball more than 2 yards deep. I think if the offensive line can somehow, some way let him get to his 5th step and take a look at somebody, I think that make the entire everything turns around. Makes the defense play better because they get to play against a team that's trying to catch up from points
and fewer plays on the field too.
Yeah, but that's the only thing I see that can help. And I mean, and Thomas has to be in the game. If he's healthy, I'm hoping that he's healthy. Thomas needs to be in the game. If he's healthy, Brandison's back in the game. You got it all the way over to the sitter, Schmitz. Then you start going to the other side. I don't know if they're going to keep the kid in, if they're going to keep him in. Marcus,
it sounds like McKeithen will stay at right guard. Okay, that's what it sounds like.
So if Marcus is going to stay in, then the last person is going to be Neal, and Neal has to find a way to get a little bit better.
He needs to stay off the ground, Howard.
Yeah, well, he just needs to get a little bit better. Yeah. I saw him go one-on-one with Bosa a few times, and I saw him do, an admirable job. And then I saw him, not block someone one time. Literally I don't know he didn't block him. Like, it wasn't like he was not blocking Bosa. He just wasn't blocking anybody. And again, I don't know if he's missing, some assignments maybe. Because it's obviously an assignment error, but that's the only way around it.
You mean it wasn't part of the play design to not block it?
Just like he was like out there and he's like, okay, come on, come to me. Where you? And you can't do that. So, and that's not a knock on him, but
yeah, of course,
it's obvious. It's like all over the internet. It's all over everything. You got to do your job.
And this is where I'll go, because I think this is where I think the Giants probably have the most talented players on their roster.
Some of, yeah.
Is their defensive front, Howard?
Defensive front.
It needs to be better. Whether it's stopping the run, and I'll include Bobby Okereke in that as a linebacker. They've had too many missed tackles. They've had too much running room.
But we know the culprit of most of the missed tackles, though.
Right, that's part of it. But also, you have to do a better job of getting consistent pressure on the opposing quarterback.
Well, they had a sack this last game, right? Or did they?
Yes, they did. Thibodeau got his first, and then I think they had a second one later.
They had somebody in the interior.
Davidson and Leonard Williams split one.
Yeah, okay. So they have 2 sacks in the game. So that the pressure is starting to come. There are more quarterback hits now. So I tell my son all the time, you don't necessarily have to sack the quarterback, but you got to hit him.
See, I don't want to put too much on the rookie corners, right? I know they're playing, but I feel like they could be helped out a little bit more by what's going on in front.
If the quarterback has more than 3 seconds to throw the ball, 4 seconds, heck, even with my bad shoulder, I could get it to somebody.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right, here we go, folks. 201-939-4513. I was not lying. I'm going to get to your calls very early here. But first, a little business. Join us on Sunday, October 8th at HK Kitchen and Draft House in the Bronx to watch the Giants take on the Miami Dolphins. Enjoy Modelo drink specials, meet a Giants legend, and enter a raffle to win game tickets and more. Visit Giants.com/bar network to learn more. And don't forget, on October 2nd, when the Giants host the Seahawks for Monday Night Football, the Giants will be celebrating Latino Heritage Month in partnership with Ford and supported by Duncan, PNC Private Bank, and the City College of New York. Fans that are attending are encouraged to arrive early to enjoy sampling of Latin cuisine, dance exhibitions, live music, giveaways, and more. The dedicated tailgate zone will be located just outside of the Rising Gate. Now, can't promise it could happen this year, but we did get Paul Dottino to do the salsa on the pregame radio stage last year.
He did it. He called it the marinara. That is so bad.
But you and Casillas did a great job coaxing him to that.
It didn't take much. He jumped right up and started doing it. I'm like, okay, Paul, you must be expecting a win today. He was fun.
He was very excited about that, Howard. Speaking of which, that is actually the perfect segue to our first email today. And then we'll get, I see you 2 guys on the line. We'll get to you. We have an open line if you want to get into 201-939-4513. This one from James Ball, and it made me laugh. You know how nobody can figure out why the Giants defense has played poorly? And why none of these guys are playing like the back of their football card? Well, I have a guess.
Okay.
On Friday, September 8th, the last Big Blue Kickoff Live before the season officially started, Paul was so confident and excited that the Giants were going to beat the Cowboys. He opened the show by doing 2 to 3 minutes. It was really that long of his patented Randy Macho Man Savage impersonation. I mean, the "oh yeah" went on and on and on. That was some really bad juju. And I think he put the hex on the defense for the entire season. If that's not the answer, I don't know, man. Maybe Miss Elizabeth knows.
That is so bad. That's so bad.
It's funny.
I tell you what. I think the defense played better against San Francisco. They held in there a little bit, even though with the missed tackles and stuff, they started.
Third down issues too.
The third down issues are weird, and I mean, like, they have to not. You can't have a penalty. The plays where they got them out on the edge, San Francisco runs great screens. They just run great screens. They get everybody out there, and they understand that you can't cut them when they get outside.
And they knew to attack. The Giants blitzed a lot in that game too.
Yeah.
So if you call them at the right time, you can kind of hit the blitz
okay. We're third. You're 3rd and 13. They're going to be coming with the blitz. We're going to try to hit them on the outside screen. Everybody's in the middle of the field, coming up the field. Then you're chasing inside out, and you got those 300-pounders out there rolling over you. Hard to stop. Happened twice. The other thing that happens is that, different team when you're playing San Francisco, everybody on their team's a runner. Everybody on their team. Kittle, runner, will run over you, knock you down. Debo will knock you down. McCaffrey, even though you think he's quick and shifty, will run over you. You're just not – there are no arm tackles. The Giants defense will have to. If it's me and I'm talking to the Giants defense, I go out to practice. I'm like, okay, pads off, everybody hang out. I throw the ball over to the coach. They look at me. I'm like, everybody to the ball. I would just spend a period of like everybody to the ball. Constantly.
And by the way,
and that's the only way to correct it.
No different against Seattle this week.
Yeah.
Kenneth Walker will go for 80 with you.
Yeah. Everybody to the ball.
Metcalf's a walking tank.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's a monster. Zach Charbonnet, did you see him run over that guy at the goal line this
Absolutely.
week? So it's going to be no different for Seattle. A lot of talented players.
Everybody to the ball. Everybody get to the ball. We meet at the ball. Let's go. Everybody in the camera. Let's go. Let's get to the ball.
All right, here we go. 201-939-4513. We're going to get to our callers, and we do have a new call screener today. We're training Tori, our intern, on the call, so make sure to be kind to her. Tell her your life story before you get on the air. They love that.
Please don't.
Let's go to Jonathan in Westchester. He's up first here on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Hey,
she just started crying. She just started crying. Leave her alone.
Jonathan, what's up?
Hey, how are you guys?
We're good.
Pleasure to talk with you. I'm good, thank you. So I wanted to build on a call you had last week. I think it was from Tom from Stratford. He had asked about Jordan Riley and why he was inactive for the last 2 weeks. And I think it's a really good question. There was an article on Giants.com the other day about how Riley was named to Pro Football Focus's list of top 15 rookies from Week 1. And the article talks about, even though he only had a few snaps, how Riley had a perfect 0.0 negatively graded play percentage and 1 tackle for loss. So, I guess the question becomes, who would be inactive if Riley is activated?
Well, and Jonathan, I think that's the right question, and I think the answer would be DJ Davidson. And here's the thing. DJ Davidson was one of the few guys that played really well against San Francisco. I thought he actually played really well, to be honest with you.
Yeah, DJ Davidson had a great game. So, I don't know, would they try to deactivate Nacho? Would they try to...
I don't see them doing
Robinson. It's crazy. It's hard when you got this many guys. Like in the past, Giants didn't have enough depth.
I mean, I remember last year we were talking, and whenever Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence were off the field, it was open season.
Open season, but it's right now it's still kind of open season. But it ain't. But they're on the field though. So right now they're running the ball. Hey man, they're running the ball on us. Hey, look, our guys are playing. They're getting better, but they are running the ball on us right now.
I'm sorry, Jonathan. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Finish up, man.
No, that's exactly where I was going. I mean, maybe even Ashawn Robinson. I know he was injured for a lot of the summer. Maybe it's taking him a bit of time to come back. Maybe because Riley, he had a great summer by all accounts, right? And he's great against the run. And the Giants definitely need to do something to get a boost, when it comes to the run defense. So.
I'm sure they're looking at it, and if somebody doesn't step up somewhere down the line, he will get an opportunity. Believe me.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, pleasure to speak with you guys. Thank you as always.
No, Jonathan, good call. Appreciate it, man. Good question. 201-939-4513. Ralph is in the Bronx. He's up next on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Hey, Ralph.
Hey, John. Hey, Howard. This is Ralph from Florida. I'm originally from the Bronx, but now I'm in Florida. So, guys, my question is, I was in Twitter space yesterday, and the guy, I think John Stosh, brought up a great point about how he feels, and I kind of agree with him. I started thinking about it, how I feel like Wink is using Bobby Okereke wrong. Like, he's using him as a scraper, basically, just standing behind the line of scrimmage and, waiting to see if somebody breaks out and they're trying to use his sideline speed, where I think Bobby's strengths are attacking the holes, where he has McFadden doing that. And, no knock on McFadden. He had 4 good tackles for losses, but he also has so many missed tackles in the hole. So I feel like bringing in Simmons in that kind of capacity where he could be the scraper, sideline speed, and using Bobby to smash to get into the backfield, and also on blitzes. I really don't see Bobby Okereke blitzing this much. I thought he was going to be doing a lot of this year, and I don't see it. And I just think just a subtle change like that, I think can just bring the best out of Bobby, because that's what he was doing in Indianapolis, is just attack the holes, and that's why he had so many tackles. It's just like he's waiting for the player to get through the hole, and then he's getting caught up in the wash. So, and that's one of the things, and I'll listen to the things off the air. But the second point I want to make is, as far as the killing of Daniel Jones and everything on the internet with the missed throws that everybody points out. Again, everybody's going to nitpick every throw Daniel Jones throws, and it's kind of ridiculous. But to me, where I want to see Daniel Jones' growth is what? Sometimes, even though you're getting blitzed, you got to let it rip. you got to take a chance. You got to take a chance every day, especially in the San Francisco game when nobody thought we were going to win anyway. So you know what? Let's play aggressive. But I know I agree with you, John. You said the other day you don't want them to throw interceptions and stuff like that, and I get it, and I totally get that. But if there's certain players like you got to give shots to, like a Hyatt, if Hyatt's going on a long route and an outside route, throw the ball where only Hyatt could get it. Just take a chance, and those are the two things that I got to say. And thank you, guys. I'll listen off the air.
Thank you, Ralph.
All right. So the first thing he's talking about when he's talking about scraping and or having the being in the hole.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you about that because to me that's almost a product of what direction the run's going in terms of where the linebackers are in a lot of ways, right?
It's mostly where the stunts are. So they're stunting, right? And everybody has to fill their lane. So every time, if the guy stunt left or there's a camera break to your right, if they stunt right, think of it as a picket fence. And the back is cutting to the spot where he sees the hole.
Sure.
It's not the linebacker is scraping into the hole or watching. It's the back is cutting to where he sees the hole.
So you're saying if the defensive line is all flowing in the same way, right? Flowing left or right based on
flowing left or right, and then the linebackers will fit click, 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 or they'll fit click, click, click on the other side. Yeah. If they do a twist or a stunt, they'll leave a spot for them to come through, and the linebacker fits into that spot over there. It just so happens that whoever's twisting or whoever they're stunting, sometimes their back is cutting back into those holes. And you see that over and over. He doesn't really run through the hole on the sides because when they call the defense, they're calling defense 258. They're like, okay, Cherokee, 58's the mic, 58's the mic. And they base the entire defense off of that. The Giants know that. They've picked out the Giants' strength from what they're viewing, and then they just run the play, thinking that, okay, if we can cut off this one guy on this side, if everybody's stunning and the tackle can cut off the defensive end, there's going to be a hole on the backside. So the back will run 3 steps this way, and he'll step right through the hole. That's just football. If you're not in the spot right then and there, where the guy thinks he's filling, he's not filling. That's just his spot he's supposed to be in.
Right. Basically, it's a gap-based defense, right?
It's a gap-based defense.
Everyone has to fill their gaps, and
Absolutely.
I don't think Wink is telling Bobby Okereke not to attack holes and to wait for the guy to break
he's
through.
Done it.
That isn't part of the scheme.
Bobby's done it when the scrape or when the slant goes to the opposite side away from Bobby. He's filling his gap, and when he's filling his gap, he's making the play in the hole. It just so happens that sometimes when they're stunning to certain formations, they're not just out there stunning just to stunt. They're not out there just running these things just because you're watching their formation. You're basing it upon how many times in that formation or that personnel, which direction you're trying to cut them off from their strongest moment. And the backs in those moments sometimes are cutting back. That's why the 2 big screenplays happened against the Giants. Yeah. The Giants were blitzing. They had them say, okay, we know where you're going to go with the ball. We're going to stop you from going there with the ball. So it's okay, we won't do that then. We'll throw a screen. We'll throw it outside of all your people to try to see if we can get leverage on you instead of you having leverage on us. It was just designed properly. And it's going to be some wins and losses in that scenario over and over again. It's just that, like I said, the guys are going to have to rally to the ball. They can't be one guy throwing at a guy. If you're tackling poorly, have more poor tacklers in the area. That's what I would say. It sounds funny.
I know.
That's
you're not wrong.
Just more bodies for them to step over, step around, step through. If the more people around them, the more likely you are to get them to the ground.
Second part of his question was about just taking shots deep. And look, I'm all in favor. If you have man-on-man coverage outside, you just run a 9 and you want to throw it up, that's fine. But the Niners play a lot of zone. Like, they're not letting guys get behind them with the way they play their defense. So, to me, I watched every one of Hyatt's routes in that game, for example, Howard. There were probably 3 or 4 plays where he was legitimately open down the field. The problem is that the minute he breaks free and is open, Daniel was literally running for his life on those plays. And he couldn't set his feet to throw the ball. So, it's easy to say, to just kind of chuck it up there, but...
This is not a Daniel Jones issue. This is an offensive line issue. You got to be able to hold them out in order to get the ball. And that's one. And number 2,
And again, they don't have to be great. They just have to be functional. They have to be average.
And number two,
Even slightly below average would be
I
okay.
will say this: you watch San Francisco's receivers, they catch balls behind them. They catch balls above them.
Good point.
They catch balls out of the dirt. They catch balls from anywhere. They are competing for the ball for them. Not that our guys aren't competing. They're going above and beyond the numbers. Brock Purdy, I'm going to tell everybody today, you guys can put it out wherever you want to. I don't care who's listening. Very average. Extraordinarily average. His skill guys are way above average. They are going out and making plays. You throw the ball to McCaffrey on the 3rd and 15 and he gets 25 yards, that's above the numbers.
Yeah, I'll give Purdy credit. He seems he makes quick decisions, gets the ball out, and he gets it to the guys he wants to get it to, but
It ain't.
balls were kind of all over the place in the first part of that game.
They're
dude.
not quite on target. He threw one good ball to Debo down the side, down the swing, but outside of that,
I didn't say on target. I didn't say that. They were kind of all over the place.
They play the old kind of offense where it's like just throw it near me, I'll catch it, and that's the big deal, and that's a big change. And if you're gonna have to have guys, they're gonna have to go a little bit above the numbers, just a little bit. Like, okay, I'm coming across the middle, just go get it. Like, and that's what I saw Kittle go across the middle, people bearing down on him every side. Not only did he catch it, he delivered a blow to people when they came through there. Debo coming across the middle. I think Bobby Okereke still spun. Like he helicoptered by hitting him right in the chest. So that's going to be part of what they're going to be looking at tape and they're going to be saying, okay, if it were me, I would have watched the entire game together. I would want everybody to see, okay, we're not out of this thing, but look at some effort here. And I ain't saying our guys aren't giving effort. I'm saying look at the extra effort here to make something happen, and look at where we are. That's what it's going to take. You're looking at the team that we think is the best team in the league. Look at those throws. Those aren't great throws.
No, they had chances to get picks early in that game.
Absolutely. Everything, like when you're playing, especially when you're playing. And here's the other thing.
I was fired up today. I like
when
this.
you're playing, but when you're playing against a team like that, and this is true, when you're playing against a team like that, you don't get calls.
No. And you also aren't going to get a lot of opportunities to make plays like that. So when they come, you got to take it.
But you're not going to get calls though.
I got you.
And it looked like, oh man, they're calling everything for San Francisco. So no, they're not. They're just like, okay, they look like they're supposed to. That looks like it should be in his favor, and they gave it to him. So I'm just telling everybody, man, that you're going to see the Giants pick it up because I'm assuming that's what the coaches had to do, had to put them all together.
Runner Walk with Giants Legends. The Giants Foundation will host a 5K racing kids run presented by Quest on Sunday, October 8th at 9 a.m. in MetLife Stadium. Net proceeds will benefit the Giants Foundation. All participants will receive a commemorative T-shirt. After the race, stay for a post-race festival with appearances by Giants Legends and a live DJ. Register now at giants.com/5K. This question in from Frankie Matos. Frankie wants to know, Howard, he's got two questions.
Okay.
Do you think we might see Paris Campbell and Wildner Robinson maybe start getting some rushes out of the backfield if Saquon can't go on Monday night? And we'll see about his injury status.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think they should try to blitz Isaiah Simmons a bit more to help generate some more pass rush?
That, I don't know. Players out of the backfield, I think that they just have to be a little more committed to the run. I think that will help them a little bit, especially playing against guys that you're trying to soften up on the edge. You got to go after them. You got to like really bear down on them. You got to send 2 or 3 bodies at the edge and make sure you just cut everybody off on the inside. The off tackle play is going to be big. The backs that are available to us are off tackle guys. I think Brightwell specifically. I'm thinking more off tackle guys than everybody else is like everybody else is the scat back kind of moment. So if you're going to run it, pick the guy you're going to have to run it at and get after him.
201-939-4513. 201-939-4513. Let's go back to the phones and say what's up to Scott in New Mexico, and then Dexter and Avery, you're next. Scott, what's going on?
Hi, guys. How are you doing today?
What's up?
Very good.
After 3 games, I don't think the sky is falling, but I'm fairly pragmatic, and here are the stats that bother me the most. I know we're talking about the offensive line, but let's talk about the defense for a while. They're averaging giving up 5.6 yards per play. They've allowed 98 points. So
it's
that's
not great.
That's 33.2 points per game.
Yeah, not good.
The aggregate scoring the Giants are doing, despite all the things that you're suggesting, Howard, they're scored at the rate of about 14.2 points per game. That's about 6.5 to 7 points less than they did last year. And
Also, not good enough.
The aggregate score.
Yes.
Including, obviously, they scored 31 points. But when you start stripping down, the one thing I thought from a defensive point of view, they're not doing anything. And you're not going to win any game in any planet, in any universe, unless you get those numbers down. And I'm looking actually at the coaches. What can they do? Because I hold coaches culpable when teams reflect the kinds of numbers we're talking about. If you look on offense, even with Saquon Barkley, their rushing statistics are beyond belief. You have Mike Breida with total carries of 7 carries and 31 yards.
Well, Scott, in fairness, against San Francisco, they didn't really try to run the ball all that much.
Right.
Well, and you're making stats. I know that a lot of people like stats and stuff and figures. The first game they weren't rushing because they had 2 turnovers for touchdowns, and all of a sudden
they were down 16.
They were down 16 to nothing in the first quarter. The second game, it was a third quarter before they even got any traction at all, so they couldn't run the ball in that game. They were throwing the ball, trying to get back in it, and then against San Francisco, they just didn't try it as much because they didn't have all their guys.
But what's the 2 precepts you're taught in football? You have to stop the run, and you have to be able to run the football in order to open up the passing, which is the way the NFL is doing it this year. You're not doing either one.
I think Miami just dropped 70 points on somebody. They did everything and anything they wanted to.
And honestly, I think now people do pass more to, you pass, you make teams play dime defense, then you run it on them after they play
in the Miami game you're talking about, they ran the football for 5 touchdowns and they passed for 5 touchdowns.
Yeah,
which is an anomaly. But no team's going to do that every week.
But you have to understand something. They have developed they have the fastest guys in the league, but they have developed an offense that's out of the ordinary. It's not, if you look at the plays, they're not the same play. They're not doing the same plays.
Right.
That's the big difference. That guy's like, he's a great play caller until something goes wrong and they have to really, really grind. He is calling everything that looks a little odd to guys, and teams are trying to catch up to it. They can put it on film 1,000 times. You can't. It's kind of like playing a team that runs the wishbone, and no one
triple option,
and no one runs that. Right. So you have to prepare for something that you don't usually see.
What's your overall point, Scott?
Well, my main point is with the coaching staff. You have Eric Gray, for example, who's scaring nobody. And I suggested in the very beginning of the season, why not put a Jalen Hyatt back there who is going to scare people?
He's 170 pounds.
Okay, well,
he's going to die.
Sean Jackson was less than he was.
He didn't get carries out of the backfield.
I just think they need to make some changes, and I think the coaches need to do that. If you want to save the season, you're going to have to make some changes now because you're not necessarily assured you're going to get the offensive line back. And to waste the season, to me, is a non sequitur. You shouldn't be doing that. Try to make some changes. Where are the gadget plays? I don't see any.
Well, Scott, honestly, it's hard to run gadget plays when you're down 20 in the first halves of all these games.
Right. I'm not disagreeing with you, John. I'm just saying that they need to do something differently than expect that, the definition of insanity. We're not going to go through that again.
Scott, they've tried. Wink Martindale didn't blitz a ton based on his standards against Arizona. They still gave up 28 points. Then he had the highest blitz rate in NFL history, literally, in NFL history, against the Niners the next week. That didn't work either. So they're trying different stuff. At some point, and appreciate the call, Scott, the players have to execute, and the team's best players need to make plays.
The coaches can only go so far. Your star players have to make plays. Like I said, when Bosa's in the game, Bosa hadn't made a sack. Of course, he held out and everything. He hadn't made a sack until the Giants game. And the sack he got was he just ran at the quarterback because they schemed something trying to fool him and they didn't fool him. So that happens. But Thibodeau, he's got to get more pressure. If he gets more pressure, it takes a little more pressure of Dex in the middle. If more guys have to contribute. We're talking about, man, if Thibodeau and Ojulari get started, Ojulari hasn't been playing. That's just, he's on a pitch count. Like, so you need that second pass rusher to come off the edge. Simmons, we want Simmons to rush the passer every time he's in the game, but you got to have everybody available for him to do that. Yeah. And there's a lot of you need everybody available.
Hey, look, and this isn't absolving the coaches of any blame here. When you lose 40-0 in week 1, everyone's at fault for that. In week 3 when the Niners outgain you, they almost triple your total yardage. Everyone's at fault there. We're not saying this isn't on the coaches too.
And
but
again, when you play the best team in the league and you're shorthanded, shorthanded. Exactly. So you have to be recognized.
Now, you get to this week, you get let's say Andrew Thomas is back.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Saquon's back or not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. Seattle and the Giants. I think talent-wise,
I think there's
a much more even proposition.
Definitely
than it was
an even
against
proposition.
Dallas and San Francisco.
Absolutely.
So if you come out and it's 40-0 on Monday night, which I don't think any of us thinks it's going to be, then we can have a different conversation.
But we're going to need a lot of guys healthy still, especially in the secondary. We're going to need all those guys healthy. If they can get those guys all healthy, there'll be a better chance. But they're going to have to find a way to get to Geno.
Yeah, and Seattle's health is a big deal, too. They were missing a bunch of secondary guys, missing a bunch of offensive linemen. We'll see which one of those guys can come back and play.
Yeah, so we're both looking at the same thing, except we have more rest time than they do.
All right, let's go to Dexter in Albany. He joins us next on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Dexter, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing, John?
We're good.
How you doing, my man?
What's happening, man?
He's
Howard. Hey, Howard, how you doing? I know I met you down in Ybor City when the Giants was playing the 49ers. I ran into you on Ybor City, but that was a couple of years ago. But it was all nice meeting you that night.
I appreciate that.
Saturday night down in Ybor. I got 2 points. One of our biggest nemesis, why is that Jahad Warden doesn't get off his block? It seems like he has no pressure.
You mean run game or pass rush, Dexter? Run game or pass rush?
Huh?
Run game or pass rush?
Pass rush and also the run game. I noticed that nobody even brought that up. I'm looking at the tapes and I'm like, wait a minute, why is Jahad Warden isn't getting off his blocks? It's like we have his whole edge side is they're running to his side. It's running to his side. Can you explain why that? Have you noticed that?
I haven't noticed that he was specifically at fault. I think again, some of the stuff is the way they're stunting. He's stumping and coming down the field, and the next guy has to be there. If it's him basically having to hold the edge, he holds the edge pretty good. Like he turns the play back inside more times than not. But if it's him, if he stunts down and then has to break back out, it's kind of he's not the youngest guy out of the crew, I guess. But
he's bigger. He isn't super fast.
Yeah, so he's going to have to switch his hips and go and try to drag a guy along.
And thank you, Dexter. Appreciate the call.
To going. I think that again, I don't want to jump on any specific player or anything. It's more of keeping. If you're going to keep guys in, I think they gave up the plays on the edge. It's more of the screen plays on the edge that's getting guys than the run plays. The run plays, they might get 1, they might get 2 in a game. For the most part, it's the screen game that's been getting guys really twisted and caught and on the outside.
And look, Ward's not a guy either that you're going to line up in like a wide 9 technique on a 3rd and long against an offensive tackle. He's he's 280 pounds. He's not a
4'5", 4'6" guy.
That's going to bend the edge, you know what I mean? No, he's more of a power player, right?
He's more of a run stopper.
Yeah. All right, we have some open lines here, folks, so give us a call, 201-939-4513, 201-939-4513. Go subscribe to the Giants Huddle podcast. Most recent episode up there is my interview with Sean O'Hara from yesterday. We go through Seattle a lot, and we talk about some of the same things Howard and I did about trying to get the Giants back on the winning track. You can find it on your favorite podcast platform, Giants.com/podcast, or the Giants app. Go check it out. Coming up later today, Brandon London had a chance to talk to Giants wide receiver Darius Slayton.
Okay.
So that'll be up there in the Giants Huddle podcast. Again, go subscribe. And go check out our brand new podcast, The Giants Hangout, as well. We have 2 a week. Howard, Lance, and Russ handle it the day after the game. And then we have Madeline, Brandon London, and Jonathan Casillas later in the week. That'll drop on Thursday this week. The most recent episode up there right now is from last Friday, reacting to the Niner game on Thursday night. So go check that out. Just search for Giants Hangout on your favorite podcast platform. All right, let's go to Avery in Queens. He's up next on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Hi, Avery.
What's going on, Avery?
How you doing, guys? How you doing, Howard?
We're good.
I was, from listening to the show, one of the biggest things above the X's and the O's. When the years that Eli was playing, and he had all those great fourth quarter comebacks. What was the common denominator in all those comebacks?
Victor Cruz and Akeem Nicks doing pretty good stuff.
Thank you.
You're not wrong.
And that's the biggest surprise. Exactly. Above the X's and O's. And that's one of the biggest things that I've seen that's been problematic with the Giants for years now. The players, the good players, played well. In the recent years, the good players, they are not playing up to their draft position, and they're not playing well.
Well, Avery, to your point, I don't mean to interrupt you, Avery. I just want to give an example for the fans last year. Go watch that Vikings playoff game last year, and just watch Dexter Lawrence.
Yeah.
That dude just dominated the game.
Annihilated.
And if not for him annihilating, it's a good word, Howard, because he annihilated Garrett Bradbury, the Viking center, in that game. The Giants might lose that game by 2 scores.
Yep.
That's how good Dexter Lawrence was, Avery. So I just wanted to give an example to your point. Please continue.
I'll put it out there, a lot of Giants fans wanted to get rid of him and thought he was a wasted pick at 17 when we picked him after 3 years, and they wanted to get rid of him. So, which, there's a lot of people out there that said now they're in love with Dexter Lawrence. We can't go without him. But I digress. But anyway, overall, I just think that's what this team needs. The players need to play to their position, and they have to go above the X's and the O's. It's the same thing every year. And it doesn't matter which coach it is. We've had Shermer, McAdoo. Now we can't stop the run.
You forgot Judge.
And the and Judge.
No one wants to remember. Poor Judge.
It's the same year and different coaches. So everything. See, I realize coaching is important. Obviously, you need it. But a lot of things are about the players. The players have to play. And not this thing which you got to motivate the players and all this kind of crap. I'm sorry.
Avery, here's the thing. I agree. The coaches have to put the players in a position to succeed. But in the end, it's the player that has to out-execute and beat the guy that's across her.
I will say it this
Exactly.
Avery, I'll just say it like this. And I'm a former player. I have a son who plays in college now. I tell him
Are you a former player, Howard?
Yeah.
I'm joking.
I tell my
remember
son
somebody.
every week, and this is the same thing I tell him. I'm like, they don't want to play with you. You have to look at the other group of guys as if they really shouldn't be out here with me. If you do that, I don't care how good they're supposed to be, you will start chipping away at them, because your mentality is different. Now, that is not every team. That's not every player. And the guys they're training together. They're hanging out, and they know each other all around the league. They might go to the same throwing camps, the same pass rush camps, the same O-line camps, and it's different. They're swapping jerseys after games all over the league. These guys are it's like AAU football or something. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just different. You're asking for guys to make plays, and you're talking about motivation. Guys are motivated by those contracts. And if you're not doing your job, no more contracts. So what's happening with these guys? These guys are like, okay, you got to have enough good bodies to go. The Giants were a year ahead last year when they had that great season and made it to the playoffs. They come in this year in a first place kind of or a higher place playoff kind of, I don't want to call it schedule. You're going to play a lot better teams. And now, all those games you won by 1 score late in the game, you're not going to get a chance to have 1 score late in the game. You're going to be playing. You have to play them even the entire game, or you're going to have to be ahead. If they get ahead on you, they're going to unleash the horses. They're going to try to stampede you. That's what good teams are going to do, and that's why those teams went late in the playoffs.
Thank you, Avery. Second point. Finish up.
Another little thing.
Yep.
The thing is talent. That's another thing we don't talk. You mentioned it earlier, John. There's talent, and then there's superior talent, and that's another thing I think is lacking as well with the team. It'll take another couple of drafts.
Yeah.
But a lot of times you have superior talent because if you're on the 53-man roster, more than likely you obviously have some kind of talent.
Of course.
I'm not going to diminish that, but that's a big difference as well. We need what you say, Excedrin players. More of that on the team to free up, and I think hopefully that will help we got to make some changes. We got to do better. And I think the fans are just sick and tired of being sick and tired of.
Hey, look,
Avery, look, we get it, man. And
we
appreciate
totally get
the
it.
call, dude. Thank you very much.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you.
The thing that's gonna be amusing if the Giants win, which I'm hoping they do against the Seattle.
Should be a great game, man. It really should.
Yeah. Then now they're 2-2, and I know if they beat them by a lot, or if they beat them by a little, I don't know how fans are going to react. I didn't expect us to be. I expected us to be.
Howard, I'll be honest with you. I don't care how they win the game Monday night. You
Yeah.
walk out of there with a W. I don't care if it's by a half a point.
Yeah, but
all right, just take it.
But what I'm saying, John, is I expected us to be 1-2 at this point in the season.
I think most people did.
Yeah, and like you're.
Well, reasonable people.
Yeah, so like I'm like, okay, so now we're Seattle. We got our chance to try to get something together. Then we'll go down to Miami. Oh Lord, but
and Buffalo, who's pretty good too.
and
by the
Buffalo
way.
too. Yeah, so but you're going to get the best of the East, except for one team, the AFC East. I mean, and then you're going to get some really good, talented teams around the league.
Mm-hmm.
You got to figure it out. You just got to like. We were looking at the season. You're like, okay, well, we got Seattle, possibly that's kind of even. Got the Rams. They're not going to be playing all that well. Well, surprise, surprise, they're playing well.
Yeah, the Rams are actually doing all right.
You get
Yeah,
Arizona,
right?
like, well, Arizona's not that good. They
just beat Dallas.
Yeah, they played a darn good
They
game.
just beat Dallas.
So you're getting more out of teams you didn't expect to. It's just you just got to be ready for it.
All right. Question from Dave Kelly. Again, you can send in your emails to bigbluekickoff@gmail.com. I love the idea of teamwork, especially with the offensive line. When it comes to O-line groups that have worked together, it's a long-wanted commodity. With that said, the two guys, Marcus McKeithen and Josh Azudu, they've been playing together for 4 years going back to college and know each other better than any other combo on our line. Put them both on the right side and see what happens? ? I like Neal, but he may be best as a swing tackle this year, and he mentioned maybe moving into guard. Tell me what you think. I don't think you're ready to replace Evan Neal with Josh Azudu at right tackle. I think we're way, way, way ahead of ourselves with that, especially what I saw from Azudu at left tackle in the game on Thursday night.
Well, that's not fair.
No, I mean, it's not his fault. He's a guard, and he's doing
Yeah.
his best out there at tackle against a really good pass rush.
It's going to be, like I said, they have, until they got all able bodies to play, we may not know if they're going to start rotating or shifting guys. We've had one game that they had all healthy guys. The next game they started shifting guys in because people were getting injured. And the last game they played, they were like undermanned. So the rotation that they probably thought they were going to get to try to find the right set of guys, they don't have.
Yeah, and again, Josh Azudu did a really nice job.
Yeah.
The way he stepped in at left tackle with the injured Andrew Thomas,
good
for him. I mean, this is a guy who, in practices that we've seen, I've never seen the man step foot at tackle.
I've never seen
been a guard
the entire time. They just like, okay, we're going to try it.
So he did as well as could be expected moving out there to left tackle in an emergency. But frankly, I thought Evan Neal played better than he did at tackle in the last game. So I don't think we're having that discussion of putting him in there.
Like I said, Evan Neal played pretty well, but he still he can get better, and he'll tell you he can get better.
100%. He's better than he was in week one, but he's still not where he needs to be.
Absolutely.
I think that's a good way of putting it. 201-939-4513. 201-939-4513. Full bank of calls. You guys are the best. Brandon in New Jersey, you're up next on Big Blue Kickoff Live. What's up, Brandon?
What's going on, John? Hey, Howard. How's it going?
Very good.
So I wrote this diatribe in the Big Blue Kickoff email, and then I spent my evening watching Bobby from Talking Giants, and I watched all 3 weeks, right? And it actually changed my opinion. And for all the Giants fans that are, the team is going down and Evan Neal, just watch those 3 weeks back to back like that, and you'll come out of it going, we're really not that far away. You just got to clean some of this nonsense up. And truthfully, there's been about 3 players total. I know everybody online is coming at all the different defensive players. There's really been about 3 players total, whether it's from missing tackles or just blocking with no hands. And then that's really what the issue has been for 3 weeks now, whereas, our interior guards from last year, whenever either one of them have been playing, we block with no hands. And then there's one in particular linebacker that he seems to want to get in there and want to tackle. He did a good job in the last game, but he's not filling his proper holes. So that actually makes me feel a lot better. Those are things we really can clean up. Like, those aren't talent, like you just are outmatched except for at the guard position. And I think we'll get better as we get healthier there. So I think as a Giants fan, if you just spend some time watching that'd make you feel a lot better about this team. And I'm a lot more hopeful if we can get those things cleaned up. However, I only do, in my diatribe, I do have one thing, and I would like to get your opinion.
Sure.
Some of the things we see about the missed tackles, if you ask me, every time they ask one of these defensive players what's their biggest thing that they're worried about, they all keep saying turnovers, like it's an emphasis. Like it's an emphasis of turnover, and we have none. So it's almost like they're pushing. Like we need. So like I think about the Dobbs, what's his name, the quarterback from Arizona.
Yep.
I think about that touchdown. Everybody says, "Oh, McKinney missed the tackle." McKinney is clearly ripping at the ball. When there's like 5 people chasing Debo down, 3 of them are ripping at the ball. There's a clip of Tibbs not making a tackle, and they kind of let these ripping at the ball. I say just if you're wing, tell them start punching at the ball. So you got to bring your hands as opposed to just pulling at the upper. You can actually still bring your hands and your feet with you and make a tackle as opposed. I know you're trying to get the turnover, but don't force it, man.
Brandon, look, Brandon, I think that's a really good question. We actually got almost an identical one from William Morganti at our email address.
Okay.
Do you feel the missed tackles are a result of the defenders trying to strip the ball as opposed to just trying to make a fundamental tackle? I feel like in the Niners game, a lot of plays you saw the Giants defenders going for the strip instead of wrapping up and bringing the player down. I appreciate the effort in trying to make a turnover, but it's not happening. I'd much rather not see all the yards after the catch and yards after contact that the defense has surrendered. Brandon, thanks for the call. I think you make some good points. What do you think about his point and then Williams?
The first point is missed tackles are different than going to try to strip the ball like in yards after contact. Missed tackles are the tackles that are when guys are getting shook at the line of scrimmage or they're missing in the hole or they're just grazing them or diving at them. Those are what we're considering the missed tackles. Going for the ball at the end of the play, I think that's more of like when you're gang tackling somebody needs to grab his legs. I mean, you can go for the ball, but like going for the ball right when you're tackling him is like he's going down and you're trying to pull it out at the last second. That's the only way I know to do it. The peanut punch, as they call it, that happens when somebody's not paying attention.
Yeah, you go from behind and
you punch it up, or or you just don't do it. Shoulder, head across the body, arms around, wrap them up, take them down. That's it. And then, like I said before, more guys getting to the ball, more people in the camera when the play is done. You want 6, 7, 8 guys in camera because they're all trying to get to the tackle and get on the tackle. That is the only way to get it done.
And I found Brendan's email here, so I'll read the end of it because I think he maybe had one more thing before we let him go there. So this is his kind of conclusion at the end of his email. He kind of got to the first 2 points. I think a simple correction to the defense is to make it a more aggressive zone defense by blitzing in zone coverage than only bringing the D-line while in man defense. Also emphasize gang tackling to your point and then punching out the ball later, so he's on board with you for that, as opposed to ripping the ball out. This will give the defense the opportunity to get the ball out, but will still allow tacklers to be aggressive and violent in the collision. So I think it's interesting, Howard. Do you think you should play a little bit more zone, or are you happy with the high level of man that they've been running out there?
I think when you play zone, especially if you're blitzing and you're not getting home, it's 7-on-7. That's what it looks like.
And usually the offense has a lot of success in 7-on-7.
The offense has great advantage at 7-on-7. When you make it cloudy for them and they can't see exactly who to throw to because the defender is running right behind him or on his shoulder, because we saw some of those plays, and eventually some of our guys went out, but we saw the plays where the defender is running right with the guy stride for stride. The quarterbacks aren't usually making that throw. They're just not. So if you go zone and just like, okay, we're going to pass this guy over and we're going to pass this guy through, it gets a little cloudy when 2 or 3 guys come out of the stack and you're playing zone and you're trying to stay in your zone. Your eyes start to wonder when these guys are sprinting across the field, wide open in the middle of the field, because there's always someone open in the middle. You got to remember. So zone is, you're thinking of the front guys coming down, 4 guys, the 5th guy's coming is a rusher. That's 5-on-5. In order for you to really blitz, you got to bring another guy. And that just leaves 4 guys deep.
And you can't disguise that either.
No, you can't.
If you only have 4 or 5 guys in the secondary, well, yeah, you either got the guy or you're the safety deep, right?
Exactly.
It's basically the only roles that are out there.
That's exactly it.
Howard, I'm with you on that. 201-939-4513. Don't forget, guys, if you want Giant tickets, whether they're single game tickets, which Supplies are limited. Or Giants season tickets. You become a season ticket member. Go to giants.com/tickets to secure your seat. And while you're online, go to the official connected TV streaming app, Giants TV, which brings original video content, including this program, and game highlights on demand and direct to Big Blue fans. Giants TV is free on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and the Giants mobile app. All right, let's go to Doug in Glen Falls. He's up next. Hi, Doug.
Hi, John. This is directed at Howard because I know he played back when Howard. Today, can the coaches even have players do tackling drills to improve that, or is that not even allowed anymore?
I think they tackle a donut rolling across the field. I don't think they can. I don't think the union allows them to have like full contact practices. I think you get
there are a limited number, and I don't know.
I think the number is 7,
6 or 8. So it's somewhere in that area.
The number is 7. Like you have 7 full pad practices
during the season, and you can technically tackle to the ground in those practices if you want. But not many teams do it, especially once you're in season.
The world's changed a lot.
Now, preseason, some teams do it. Like Mike Tomlin still tackles to the ground, Andy Reid still tackles to the ground, but it just doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, I'm just going to say the world's changed a lot where they don't understand. And I'm not meaning the Giants. I'm just saying the NFL and everybody. They don't understand the guys actually take care of each other when they're practicing in full pads. They try not to hurt each other. They're going full. You're usually getting your best techniques. You're getting your best competition, and you're healthier. Now they just like for whatever reason they decided that hey, look, too many people get hurt in practice. If it's one person that got hurt, that's too many. So we're gonna knock off the practice. So yeah, it's kind of hard to teach guys to tackle, even during training camp. It's kind of hard.
All right, we got one more call, but first I'm going to do an email here, Howard. I got a couple about this, so I'll just mention the one. If you also emailed about this, I apologize ahead of time. Chet wants to know, there were reports that the Giants worked out Justin Pugh last week when they're out there in Arizona. He's coming off an ACL.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that someone that would get you excited to come in and maybe stabilize that guard spot?
I have no idea. You're saying he's just coming off from an ACL?
He tore his ACL last year.
How big is he?
He's 33. I don't know what his height weight is right now.
So I always tell people that when there are people out on the street and you're hoping they come in and make a difference, and I love Justin, nice kid.
Oh, I love Justin too.
Yeah, but like they're out on the street. No one's called him yet.
And it's not like teams don't have a need for offensive linemen.
Yeah. That's when he may not have passed the physical or something like that. I don't know.
I don't know the answer to that either.
I don't know
we weren't at the workout. We don't know what he looks like, so it's really hard for us to kind of give an answer on that. But I know we had a couple questions. I want to at least put it out there for you. Keith Cleary, this goes back to a question that we had earlier in the show. At what point does it become players not executing properly and correctly versus coaches not coaching properly? Coaches can only coach so much, but if players do not execute, then coaching does not matter as much. But what happens when a player can execute, but he just needs a different type of coaching to succeed? Thank you. Keep up the great work and recommend the show to everyone. Thank you, Keith.
First off, this whole coaching thing, I really appreciate you guys talking about that and everything. If a coach tells you draws up a play for you, usually it's drawn up to win. Then it's up to the players to make that play work. That's number one. Some coaches can scheme you into victory, and then still it's up to the player to execute the scheme. It's not the coaching part of it. I think, and I know they say coaching is really important, and I know there's tons of evidence. You guys will point to the Cowboys and McCarthy and everything, and I get it. But for the most part, the players still have to make plays.
Yep.
I mean,
to your point, with
Belichick called up a lot of plays. LT would do what he wanted to and get a sack.
But look, again, coaching helps. But you look up in Miami and the crazy stuff they're doing with Mike McDaniel and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But you know what? That would not look quite as good if you didn't have Tyreek Hill running a 4-3 and Raheem Mostert running a 4-3 and all that stuff. It helps. It matters. But eventually, it is a player.
It's the Joes. It's the Joes and the Moes, as they say.
Jimmy and the Joes, not the X's and the O's, right? All right, last email here. Big homie Loke. He wants, this is his question. Whatever happened to the days when the old linemen used to go out and eat, hang out, build camaraderie with each other? You don't think the Giants should, do you think the Giants should do that with their old linemen, or do you think they should just do stunts with their, I don't know, this is kind of now rambling a little bit. But I'll answer the offensive line part first, big homie. I can just tell you, and the reason I wanted to read this, I literally just came in. He must be listening to the show live. Thanks for sending the email in. But for me, You go back. In fact, it's on our YouTube page. Evan Neal had a thing at his place down in Florida, correct?
Yep.
And all the offensive linemen went down, and they spent days together hanging out off the field and all that stuff. So go check that out. And Okeechobee, Florida. Thank you. And thank you, Pearson. Thank you, Tori. So basically, they do this. These guys are tight. They eat together all the time. Andrew Thomas does a good job bringing them together. But, you can sit around, and I'm going to, God help me, quote Lance here, sing Kumbaya all you want. if you can't go there and block the defensive lineman.
Let your chair down when you quote him, okay? Let your chair down. That's terrible. That's so bad, Lance. I'm sorry, dog. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, Lance. Listen, I'm gonna tell you what I think. I'm gonna tell you what I think, and this is for any team. You just got to set a new attitude. Now, I don't know what you're saying to your teammates in the locker room. I don't know what you're looking at, how you're looking at yourself in the mirror. You got to change your attitude, and I'll give you a great example. This weekend, I went up to see Notre Dame versus Ohio State. My son is the most passive defensive lineman I've ever met before.
You mean personality-wise?
Just like, hey, hi, how you doing?
He is a very soft-spoken young man. Okay, so that hasn't changed from when he was a kid?
Not one iota.
Okay.
We're sitting in the stands.
Keep in mind, I remember little Howard when he was literally like Lance's size, and now he's like 3 times Lance. What? Am I wrong?
Poor Lance. Anyway, when we go to the game, he's walking down, they do their little walk. I see him coming. I'm pretending like I'm just sitting there waiting for him to get there. And when he gets close to me, I hit him. I'm like, what are you going to do now? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. He's like, calm down. Okay, just go to the game. He's so fired up, John. We're waiting for him to come. Oh, here they go. He's coming out. He's over there dancing. He can't dance. So it was like crazy watching him over there. I'm like, here we go.
We got to send this little Howard. Howard's killing him on the air here.
Dude, he had like 8 or 9 tackles in the first half, 4 quarterback pressures. Some guys just chirping at him. He's going back. What are you going to do now? I'm a little guy. What are you going to do with the little guy? I'm like, oh my God. Change of attitude. I'm like, have some fun. Change your attitude. Run to the ball. Everybody have fun.
All right, Lucas in the car is our final call of the show. Lucas might be a preview of a future segment here. Lucas, what's going on? How you doing?
Lucas from the car segment.
Hey, Howard. How you both doing?
Very good.
What's up, Lucas?
Hey, I hope Andrew Thomas is paying the bill because he just signed that juicy contract. I love what you guys were saying. I think Howard hit a little bit on my point. I wanted to ask you guys what you thought one offensive key was for victory and one defensive keys, and if you give me the opportunity, I'll definitely tell you what I think is pretty essential. Nothing kind of
go ahead.
Out of left field. I think for offense, right, you want to start early. You want to kind of force the run on people. You want to kind of get physical because those early runs might cash in a little bit later. And for defense, I think it all starts with, like you just said, it's attitude, it's gang tackling, it's camaraderie. I think we lost a lot when we lost Julian Love. Julian Love, there was like a locker room thing where like they won that game, and then he and Daniel Jones had a moment where they're like, hey, no practice tomorrow, right? And then Dabo saw that and he was like, yeah, no, you guys are off tomorrow. So I think they lost a little bit of that when they lost Julian Love, and it's kind of hard to bring that chemistry back. But I think they still got McKinney. Dex is really hilarious and like really jovial and fun, it seems, from what I get from snippets. So I think those are my key offensive and defensive things for victory. And then the one player I want to see on offense really shine is Paris Campbell. I think he had a couple of drops and hasn't got a lot of yak. I think he needs to step it up if he's going to kind of have a consistent role. And on defense, I'd like to see, like everyone said, just Thibodeau kind of just showing up a little bit more, playing to the outside, like you said, Howard. He's not big enough to force through the middle. And just getting creative on ways to fire off. Like Michael Parsons, we need that one guy that we can kind of fire off at various angles. I know Wink does a good job, but I'll kind of end the rant there and hear what you guys said in response offline. Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate the call.
I mean, camaraderie is great. I understand everybody saying camaraderie, but it's just got to be a little, I don't know, we should say put some gunpowder in your dog food a little bit to get crazy. It's crazy.
He mentioned Julian Love, by the way. Dory was asked about that. He goes, I would hope he's not in there giving away all of our secrets, but he probably is.
That's hilarious. Yeah, he totally is.
All right. But I have one more email, Howard, I want to get to, and this is something Lance and I had a very, very in-depth discussion about at the end of Monday's show. the Travis Kelce Taylor Swift situation, and I put the over/under. Will they still be over/under? Will they still be together in Week 9?
No.
So you're taking the under on that. See, Mark in Chicago has a good point via email. This is his email. Pearson loves this topic of conversation. Taylor Swift has a South American concert tour from 11/9 to 11/26. The Chiefs' bye date is Sunday 11/12. I guess they didn't list the international dates on her tour page for whatever reason when we checked that. This separation will make the reality of this type of relationship clear, maybe even a little bit jealousy. He says they will break up by the end of November because of the South American tour. Your thoughts?
I'm not sure they're an official couple.
Oh, okay, there we go.
I think he invited her to a game. She came up and sat in his box, and everybody's going, "Ooh, it's great."
Hanging out with his mom, though. That's a thing.
Okay, if he invites you to the game and you're gonna go sit in his box, his mom is there.
No, that's a good point. No, you know what? I think you make a strong point.
I think you guys are all like them jump the shark a little bit on this whole thing, and I don't think there's like some official. There's no them.
They did leave the game together. She went down to the locker room.
Yeah,
and
of
they
course
left the
she
game
did
together.
because he invited her to the game and she's a celebrity.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah, he's like, oh, she jumped in the cool mobile.
All right, so Howard's not even sure this is a real thing. This is the type of
you guys like.
These are the opposing views I'm looking for.
You're like old ladies wishing their daughters get married.
I don't care.
Like you're 27. You need to find someone.
I think Taylor's doing just fine. I
think she's great.
Taylor Swift's doing just fine.
I think she is. So is Travis. I don't think Travis got a problem.
Huh? She's taking the under.
Yeah,
as well.
everybody's taking the under.
Here's a better question for Howard Pearson. You like this?
Oh Lord.
What was the biggest? Maybe you can't reveal this from your Giants teams. Biggest celebrity girlfriend of one of your teammates when you were with the Giants.
Oh, Angie Harmon probably. She was like in all those shows.
That's a good one. Yeah, Angie Harmon with Seahorn. That's a good one.
Then other ones you can't never ever tell who does anything. The only reason we say Angie's because Seahorn and Angie were married.
Well, they were married publicly.
Yeah. So outside of that, no, we don't discuss stuff like that.
You have nothing for me?
No, we don't do that.
I tried.
Yeah,
what could I do?
not a way.
I tried. See what happens in the locker room stays in the locker room.
Yeah, whatever happens, period, stays wherever it is. Don't let's let it go.
You can't give me one?
Nothing.
How about you?
Nothing, bro.
Did you ever have a celebrity girlfriend?
Hey man, I'm gonna tell you right now, the camera phones and stuff. My life before phones didn't exist. I'm like CIA blacklist. I'm from a CIA black site. You didn't even know I was around.
What was it? Rush Hour, G4 Classified, whatever it was with Chris Tucker?
I lived before Google, okay? So, no, don't worry about it. We're good. Let's get off the air. Cut this.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow. It'll be Madeline and Casillas. He'll tell some secrets.
No, he won't.
Right here on it's me. It's not Madeline. It's me and Casillas. I'll try to get some secrets out of him on Big Blue Kickoff Live. I'll get his Taylor Swift take as well. Make sure you tune in on Thursday at 12:30. Thanks for being with us. For Howard Cross, I'm John Schmelk. We'll see you next time.